Hello and good evening. I'm Shuhaida Arifin. Welcome to News at 10. The accident involving two Kerana Jaya Line Light Rail Transit LRT trains near the KLCC station yesterday was caused by the negligence of the hostler or train driver who drove an empty train in the wrong direction. Transport Minister Datuk Sri Wee Ka Siong said this was based on preliminary investigations conducted at the Land Public Transport Agency APAD. Elaborating, Datuk Sri Wee said before the crash, TR40 at 8:21 p.m. was being operated by the Automatic Train Operation ATO and had moved southbound from Gombak to the Subang Depot, but the TR40 suffered a timeout and stopped warm. An order was issued for the hostler to drive it manually.
Dapatan awal mengenai punca kemalangan ialah siasatan awal mendapati kemalangan adalah disebabkan kecuaian hostler yang memandu TR40 dalam arah yang salah. TR40 yang sepatutnya bergerak ke arah southbound menuju ke stesen Dang Wangi telah bergerak ke arah northbound atau different orientation yang telah mengakibatkan pelanggaran berlaku di antara TR40 dan TR81.
The total amount of losses is yet to be determined, and repair works including track cleaning to clear debris will be conducted in 3 days to avoid disruption of operations. In a related development, Prasarana Malaysia Berhad or Prasarana will provide special aid of RM1,000 each to all passengers involved in the incident. According to its group chairman, Datuk Seri Tajuddin Abdul Rahman, the aid will be provided irrespective of their condition, whether serious or not serious.
Kita juga telah berpesan kita akan memberikan bantuan kepada mereka yang hilang pendapatannya kerana kejadian ini. So for certain days, beberapa hari mereka hilang pekerjaan, tak bekerja, tak boleh bekerja. We are very concerned. Kita sangat prihatin kepada nasib keluarga mereka, mungkin ramai anak dan sebagainya. So kita akan bantu untuk dia punya kelangsungan hidup, the living expenses for a reasonable number of days, until dia boleh bekerja balik semula seperti biasa.
Speaking at a media conference after a site visit earlier today, Datuk Seri Tajuddin assured that Prasarana will improve the SOPs for LRT services. At the same time, they will provide full cooperation to the investigation committee led by Secretary General to the Ministry of Transport, Datuk Isham Ishak. 213 passengers were injured when two Kerana Jaya Line LRT trains collided at 8:33 p.m. yesterday. 64 individuals are currently being treated in Hospital Kuala Lumpur, with 6 of them in critical condition. Meanwhile, the treatment of COVID-19 positive patients at the Kuala Lumpur hospital is unaffected by the surge of cases admitted to the facility after the LRT train mishap. Health Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Adham Baba said there are currently 64 victims of the accident being warded. He said that 3 are in a critical condition, 3 need ventilator assistance, while another 3 are in surgery.
Ward COVID di SPL masih lagi tidak terganggu. Kita masih lagi dapat menggunakan resources kita. Ventilator kita telah pun allocate untuk certain cases di COVID-19 ward dan ICU serta critical care unit. Ward surgery kita telah activate dan telah pun menempatkan kes-kes yang boleh kita kendalikan sehingga lewat tengah hari tadi.
Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah today expressed shock and sadness over the incident. Istana Negara in a statement said the King nevertheless expressed gratitude to the God that all passengers involved were rescued and taken to the nearest hospitals for treatment. Sultan Abdullah also praised for their speedy recovery of all the victims, including 6 who are in critical conditions and 15 in semi-critical condition and at the Kuala Lumpur Hospital. While describing the mishap as a serious incident, Sultan Abdullah extended his appreciation to the security and emergency response teams for their speed and agility in rescuing and providing emergency treatment to the victims. At the same time, His Majesty also hoped that the relevant agencies would give priority to the victims, especially in providing necessary and comprehensive treatment and assistance to ensure their well-being. The King also expressed hope that the incident would not recur and that it would be a lesson to all quarters to always ensure the safety and well-being of the passengers. The number of new COVID-19 cases in Malaysia spiked to 7,289 over the past 24 hours, the highest figure ever recorded since the pandemic began last year. According to a statement by Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah, only 4 of them were imported cases, while the remaining were all local transmissions. Selangor still recorded the highest daily tally at 2,642 cases, followed by Johor with 664 cases and Kuala Lumpur 604 cases. This brings the cumulative number of infections in Malaysia up to 525,889. Meanwhile, 3,789 cases made a recovery and were discharged, bring the total recoveries up to 460,062. Following this development, the number of active cases currently monitored in Malaysia is 63,458. From the amount, 726 are being treated in ICUs, with 373 of them requiring respiratory aid. The Health Ministry also reported 60 COVID-19 related fatalities in the past 24 hours, bringing the death toll up to 2,369. Meanwhile, Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham urged the public to prepare for the worst in facing the current COVID-19 wave following an exponential trend indicated by the COVID-19 graph in this country. He advised the public to stay at home and comply strictly with the standard operating procedures SOP in case of an emergency for attendance at work. The second round of AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccination slot bookings will be opened to those under 60 years old starting 12 noon tomorrow. Coordinating Minister for the National COVID-19 Immunization Program, PICK, Khairi Jamaluddin said priority will be given to those in the Klang Valley, Johor, Pulau Pinang and Sarawak areas.
Pemberian untuk AstraZeneca bagi pusingan kedua ini akan melibatkan 4 PPV baru selain daripada PPV yang sudah sedia ada. PPV baru ini adalah Setia Spice Arena di Bayan Lepas Pulau Pinang, Pesada Johor International Convention Centre di Johor Bahru, Borneo Convention Centre di Kuching, Sarawak dan IKDN Miri di Sarawak. Sementara itu, individu yang telah ada dalam senarai menunggu pada pusingan 1, mereka akan dimasukkan secara automatik di dalam pusingan yang kedua.
He informed of this in a media conference held virtually together with Health Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Adham Baba. Khairi added that since registrations were open exclusively for elderly citizens aged 60 and above last Sunday, 228,347 slots for the AstraZeneca vaccinations have been booked. On a related matter, Khairi said the appointments for 4 vaccination centres PPV around Kuala Lumpur have been transferred to mega-sized premises to improve the safety and comfort of vaccine recipients, especially people with disabilities, OKU and senior citizens.
PPV yang akan dipindahkan ini adalah PPV Stadium Titi Wangsa, PPV Dewan Komuniti Majelara. Kedua-dua PPV janji temu ataupun temu janji untuk PPV tersebut akan dipindahkan kepada MyTech, iaitu Dewan Persidangan MyTech di Jalan Duta, Jalan Kuching, dan operasi PPV MyTag akan bermula pada hari Khamis 31 hari bulan Mei. Mereka yang terkesan akan diberikan semula butiran janji temu dengan lokasi baru.
He added that the PPV at Desa Tasik Community Hall and Muhibah Community Complex have been moved to Axiata Arena PPV in Bukit Jalil Sports Complex. Khairy said the decision to move the locations was made based on monitoring findings of the COVID-19 Immunization Task Force, which found it was difficult to practice physical distancing at the existing PPVs. Meanwhile, a new feature will be introduced in the MySejahtera application by the end of the week to identify pregnant and breastfeeding mothers to receive their recommended COVID-19 vaccines.
Apabila ciri ini dikeluarkan oleh MySejahtera, ibu mengandung dan ibu yang sedang menyusu bolehlah mengenal pasti diri mereka melalui MySejahtera untuk janji temu diberikan kepada mereka bagi menerima vaksin yang disyorkan untuk diberikan kepada mereka. Contoh bagi ibu hamil antara tempoh 14 hingga 33 minggu hamil, vaksin Pfizer adalah vaksin yang disyorkan.
Khairy further explained that nursing mothers who previously had their applications refused for the AstraZeneca vaccine can contact the Special Committee on COVID-19 Vaccine Supply Access Guarantee JKJAV for re-registrations. To date, only the Pfizer and AstraZeneca vaccines have been deemed suitable to be administered to nursing mothers. The Pfizer vaccine can also be administered to pregnant women. Coming up next, police to dispose 2.02 million ringgit worth of firecrackers. Malaysia has taken the priority to strike the balance between protecting lives and livelihoods in handling COVID-19 in the country. This was highlighted by Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin when participating in the virtual Asia Commonwealth Leaders Regional Roundtable discussion hosted by Prince Charles, the Prince of Wales, yesterday. According to the statement issued by the Prime Minister's office today, the Prime Minister also discussed efforts to incorporate circular economy in Malaysia's development plan as a means to drive systemic shifts towards long-term resilience and generate green business and jobs. Prime Minister also highlighted Malaysia's successful pricing of the world's first sovereign US dollar sustainability sukuk, whereby the proceeds of the Islamic bond will be used for social and green projects aligned to the 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda. Other issues discussed at the roundtable, which was also attended by the presidents of Maldives and Sri Lanka, as well as the prime ministers of Bangladesh and Singapore, were key issues that the Commonwealth could address. This include approaches to green recovery, accelerate a sustainable transition to green economy, and opportunities for collective actions ahead of the 26th United Nations Conference of Parties on Climate Change, COP26, this November. The roundtable also provided the opportunity for leaders to share new and emergent initiatives and practices in their effort to revive and accelerate economic recovery from the devastation caused by the pandemic through circular economy, the transformation of carbon-intensive industry, and sustainable green financing. Johor Police will dispose of various types of firecrackers and fireworks worth 2.02 million ringgit, which were seized throughout the state from last year until February this year. Its chief, Dato' Ayub Khan Maidin Piche, said a court order was obtained to dispose of the fireworks after investigation and prosecution on 8 cases of seizure and arrest were completed under Section 8 of the Explosives Act and Section 74 of the Explosive Regulation 1957. The seizures cover 5 cases which occurred in areas under the Johor Bahru Utara District Police Headquarters (IPD) with a value of 1.6 million ringgit, a case related to Iskandar Puteri IPD with a seizure value of 394,800 ringgit, and 2 other cases involving Kluang IPD with a seizure value of 30,000 ringgit. The disposal has been scheduled from 23rd to 28th May at the Batu Anam Shooting Range, Segamat. Only 36 types of fireworks and the Happy Boom and Pop Pop brands are allowed to be sold in the country, as these have been approved by the Home Ministry for sale during the festive season. A former director of the Malaysian Agriculture Research and Development Institute, MARDI, pleaded not guilty in the Kuala Terengganu Sessions Court today to criminal breach of trust involving 14,250 ringgit. Muhammad Saiful Nizam, 40, was alleged to have not handed over the money, which was in the form of deposit and 9-month rental payment for a kiosk, to the Finance Division of the Kuala Terengganu MARDI office. The offence was allegedly committed at Kuala Terengganu MARDI office between January and September 2019. The charge under Section 409 of the Penal Code provides an imprisonment for up to 20 years and whipping and fine if found guilty. Judge Dazuki Ali set bail at 6,000 ringgit with one surety, and also ordered Muhammad Saiful to surrender his passport to the court and to report himself at the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission (MACC) office every month. National Higher Education Fund Corporation (PTPTN) has launched 4 new platforms to make it easier for borrowers to make repayments on their loans and deposits to the Education Savings Scheme (SSPN). The 4 channels are Shopee, Keppel Pay, Best Pay and Kelantan Pay. PTPTN Chief Executive Ahmad Dasuki Abdul Majid said due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the new norm is to conduct transaction online.
Pendekatan bayaran tanpa tunai ini adalah juga sebahagian usaha berterusan PTPTN untuk mendukung usaha kerajaan ke arah pendigitalan penyampaian khidmatan kerajaan pasca COVID-19 yang menjurus kepada perkhidmatan dalam talian yang berbentuk end-to-end, iaitu hujung ke hujung.
In a live broadcast on PTPTN's official Facebook page, Ahmad Dasuki said PTPTN, with the cooperation of Shopee, Keppel Pay, Best Pay and Kelantan Pay, are also organizing a campaign called Click, Pay and Earn to all SSPN depositors. With the concept of first come, first served, the campaign begins today and ends on 24th June. Coming up in sports, Malaysia Liga team to be vaccinated. Stay with us. Teams participating in the Malaysia League M League are expected to get their vaccine jabs in the 3rd phase of the national COVID-19 immunisation program. Malaysian Football League MFL Chief Executive Officer Dato' Abdul Ghani Hassan said several teams had been vaccinated so far, but they did this on their own initiative in order to play in Asian Football Confederation AFC tournaments. Teams involved in AFC competitions are Johor Darul Takzim JDT, who will play in the group stage of AFC Champions League from 22nd June to 7th July in Thailand, and Terengganu FC TFC and Kedah Darul Aman KDAFC, both of whom will be involved in the AFC Cup group stage from 29 June to 6 July in Singapore. KDAFC were reported to have received their first dose on 13 April, while TFC reportedly received theirs on Sunday. 29 players in the national team who are now in Dubai, the United Arab Emirates, preparing for the World Cup 2022, Asian Cup 2023 qualifiers, completed their second dose on 10th May. Meanwhile, Abdul Ghani said MFL would announce changes to the M League schedule this week following the extension of quarantine for teams arriving in the country to 14 days from 7 previously. The Premier League is scheduled to resume on 18th June and the Super League on 9th July after the current break. That is it from us this evening. In our top story, LRT train collision due to human error driven in wrong direction. Join us for updates at noon at 12:30 tomorrow. I'm Shuhaida Arifin. Thank you for watching.